What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake, and today I want to bring you my official review and ranking of Volume 3 from Love, Death, and Robots that just dropped on Netflix within the last week. But before I get into it, if this is something you are interested in and you like content like this, specifically geared more towards horror and thriller, click on that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Now let's get into this. So in case you're unfamiliar, Love, Death, and Robots is an animated anthology series dealing with the themes of love, death, and robots. And it covers just a wide variety of genres from action, adventure, and fantasy to horror, sci-fi, thriller, you name it, they got it. Just a wide variety of different animated styles as well. And just last week, Netflix dropped 9 new episodes for Volume 3, and I just finished watching it, and so here is my official ranking of all 9 episodes. So starting the list at number 9, the bottom of the barrel, is Kill Team Kill. I really didn't get very much out of this one. It tells the story of this army unit who is out in the woods looking for some of their missing soldiers, and they come across this robotic bear, grizzly bear, and it attacks them, and they just have to defend themselves and kill it. And I just didn't really get a whole lot out of this one. There is really just kind of an excessive use of profanity that is just really over the top and feels forced and unnatural. The characters are all just a bunch of meatheads and just talking dumb jokes, stupid stuff. The short actually opens with a shot of a guy up on a cliff peeing onto the camera as we pan up and look at him actually peeing on the camera. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what you're in for a little bit with this one. There's just not really much about it that sticks out. Some of the action is okay, but it's just really this kind of man versus beast slash machine story that we've seen many times before. It's just very straightforward. They just kind of go in there and chase this thing, guns blazing. And that's really about it. There's just not really much there in terms of story, in terms of characters, and I just didn't really get much out of this one. Next up at number 8 is The Very Pulse of the Machine, and this is the story about 2 women who end up crash landing on this alien planet. One of them survives, one of them does not, and the woman ends up taking the deceased woman, kind of tracking her and taking her with her along this sort of desert wasteland of this alien planet, trying to get back to safety. And I won't say too much more without, trying not to get into any spoilers, but this one I'll give some credit for. It kind of has a unique and interesting idea. It is ambitious, but I feel like just the execution wasn't quite there all the way. I think really this one needed a little bit more time to kind of flesh out its ideas, and it just doesn't really give us, at least for me anyway, it didn't really give me enough sort of information to fully kind of grasp and understand what's going on. And I typically like ambiguity and things like that, but this one I just didn't quite really get what they were going for. If you've seen the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I love, by the way, I think you can tell that this short has some influences from that film, but it just doesn't quite make the connection for me, and I just felt like it kind of didn't quite stick the landing. They were kind of trying to go with this very sort of surreal, cerebral, abstract sort of thing, and it just didn't quite land for me. Number 7 is In Vaulted Halls Entombed. This one is kind of similar to the Kill Team Kill that I mentioned just a couple spots ago. This tells the story of this sort of army unit who's on this alien planet, and they're going to search for some of their missing team members. And they go into this cave and are attacked by these kind of spiders and things like that. I like the visual and the animated style from this one. It definitely works better, even though it is kind of similar to that Kill Team Kill segment. I do like this one better. Just visually, I like the animated style. I like just the world and kind of the visual presentation of it. I will give it credit, and again, without getting into spoilers, the end has kind of a bit of a twist-ish kind of, it just, at least it kind of goes somewhere a little bit that you might be unexpected, at least for me it was, but it didn't quite stick the landing of the ending. I just felt like it was a bit incomplete. They kind of, something happens and then they kind of make this cut, and then there's like one final shot and then it ends, and it just I don't know if it's just kind of a lack of story, a lack of writing issues there, or something like that, but it just didn't totally come together for me, and I just thought the way they kind of handled the ending of it just didn't really work very well. Other than that, the characters here are better than in that other segment, but there's nothing that super sticks out about it. It is fairly straightforward. The action is a little bit better, but overall, it's not bad, but it just kind of misses out a little bit for me in the end.
Number 6 is Jabarro.
And I will give this one credit for being probably the most visually beautiful out of all of these. This is really a kind of an audio visual spectacle. This one tells the story of a death knight and a siren of myth that become entwined in a deadly dance, a fatal attraction infused with blood, death, and treasure. I like the visual storytelling here. I like the fact that they were kind of able to create an interesting sort of audio experience with the Deaf Knight, as there's times where the sound just completely cuts. Really, just the presentation with the sound effects is really kind of does well in sort of creating the atmosphere, and that really has to contribute a lot to the overall feel of this segment. Again, it's just a lot of beautiful colors and very pretty to look at. This one is pretty good. I don't really have any main issues with it. Again, there's some good sort of visual storytelling here. I don't really have any major issues with it. It's just that the ones above this I just kind of connected more on an emotional level with, and I just kind of enjoyed them more. And so this is a pretty good segment, but I just enjoyed 4 of the other ones just more than this one. Coming in at number 5 is Night of the Many Dead, and all I wrote in my notes for this one is 5 minutes of hilarity. This one takes an idea we've seen many times, zombie invasion, and condenses it down into a 5-minute animated short, and it's just great. All of it is told with simply just static shots of around the world showing a zombie invasion at that particular location. And it's funny, it's fun, it's entertaining. I don't know for sure, but this one looked like it was done with stop motion animation, and if that's the case, I'm even a little bit more impressed with it, knowing that the animated was actually done with practical effects rather than computer generated animation. I don't know that for sure, but it seems to be that it was stop motion animation. And so just the visual presentation here is really cool. We just get a bunch of variety of different locations all across the world. I liked the one up in the Buddhist monk temple where they start karate kicking the zombies. Everything is pretty funny, but this one, it doesn't overstay its welcome. If it was any longer, it would be too long. But this is just a cool 5-minute condensed zombie invasion movie that I just had a fun time with. Coming in at number 4 is Swarm, and this one I might end up having a little bit more critiques with than some of the previous installments, but where this one really kind of scores high for me is just in its idea and ambition. This one tells the story of 2 human scientists that study the secrets of an ancient alien entity, but soon learn the horrible price of survival in a hostile universe. And as I said, the ambition here and the ideas and concept is really where this one scores high for me. My issue is that this really feels incomplete, and it doesn't really tell a full story, which is a bummer because this one probably left me wanting more than any of the others. It ended, and I was like, oh man, I wanted more. And it felt like this really has enough of an idea and a potential story to make maybe a feature-length movie out of. And so I really like that. I liked the world building and the visuals, and just the creature designs were really cool. And so there's a lot to appreciate, and I hate the way that it ended because it just feels incomplete, and it doesn't feel like a full story. But I really liked just what it presented to us, and I wish we could have gotten more out of it. I'd like to see more out of this world. At number 3 is Mason's Rats, and this is the most fun and funny installment of the whole lot. Just from a purely entertainment perspective, this would probably be my favorite one. I like just the design of the main character. There's just so much character and depth in his face. The setting of the old Scottish countryside, it's just simply about this old Scottish farmer guy who's got a rat infestation in his barn, and he goes about taking care of it in a very bloody way. He ends up contacting pest control that bring in these robotic drones to take care of the rats in his barn, and the rats end up fighting back and sort of lead this revolt against the machines that are there to terminate them. And the rat violence is just hilariously over the top, and there's not a lot of depth to this one, but I like just the presentation. I thought it was fun. I had a good time with it. It was just pure entertainment for me, and just kind of the most fun I had out of any of these. Number 2 is Three Robots Exit Strategies. This one, if I'm not mistaken, is actually kind of a continuation or perhaps even a sequel from one of the installments from Volume 1 of Love, Death, Robots. This follows 3 robots touring through a post-apocalyptic Earth and just talking about what went wrong and what caused the apocalypse on humanity. And I like the 3 main robots. They all are interesting and entertaining and funny. They kind of have just well-established kind of unique character traits in the short amount of time that we're given with them. I like the sense of humor here, and really the dark humor. It definitely has a bleak look overall on humanity, which I kind of found darkly humorous. Basically, in the end, we're all hosed and the machines are going to take over. But I just liked kind of the social commentary and the dark humor on this one, and I dug it. I hope that we do get another installment from these 3 robots. I like this one quite a bit. And that leaves us with number 1. My favorite installment is Bad Traveling, directed by none other than the great David Fincher. And this is good stuff right here. I dug this one quite a bit. This tells the story of what looks like to be set during sort of pirate times, but it tells the story of these ship crewmen who are on these kind of old pirate-style boats, but they're actually on alien planets traveling across the seas. And the seas are filled with these alien creatures, and the opening of this one is just great. We get this massive crustacean crab-like creature that attacks all these seamen on board, and it ends up getting trapped down in the belly of the boat, and it starts negotiating a deal with the captain of the ship. This is just really kind of a really good horror-style creature feature in a way. I really like the main character here. He's really smart, and it's kind of interesting to try to follow him through the decisions he makes and what he does to try to survive. This one has just a really distinct look to it. The cinematography and the visuals are good. It's got just really good atmosphere. It's got some surprises and twists. It's got some just good creature violence in it. I love the way that they chose to allow the creature to communicate with the captain. I thought that that was just wonderfully disturbing, and I thought it was really good. I liked it. And overall, I just really feel like this one told the best sort of overall complete story, and it left me wanting more. I want to see more stories that take place in this world. So really had a great time with Bad Traveling. That is my number 1. But let me hear from you. I'd love to hear your sort of ranking and review of Volume 3 from Love, Death, and Robots. This obviously isn't the right list, it's just my list, but let me know down in the comments. Let's get the conversation going. Would love to hear from you, what you guys thought about this and which one was your favorite. So I'd love to hear from you. Well, that's all I got for you. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we will see you next time on The Haunted Beard.